100%, no question. He's been getting disrespected by Green Bay for a while. I mean, he's got a fantastic, probably one of the best receivers in football, and will be for a long time in Devontae Adams. And they don't give him much else outside of that. They got a running game, they got great running backs, but outside of that, he's looking for a true number 2 receiver, and he's done it with whatever they've given him. But it's not like you've seen, hey man, the Packers have taken 2 first-round receivers and 2 first-round O-linemen, and they're really trying to get A-Rod what he needs, or they've taken a huge free agency signing and gave him somebody else special. You don't see that a lot of times, and you see him still having an MVP season. You see him draft his replacement last year, and there's no problem with that. I don't think he's really that as irked about that as people think, but I think there is a disrespect when you say, hey, we got your replacement sitting here and you just had an MVP season, and we're just supposed to think everything's cool. As a player, he literally can do nothing else. And you hear people talking about, hey, he needs to prove it again. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to prove anything. He just was MVP for the 3rd time this decade. And I don't think people are giving him enough credit for that. He's taken his team to, 4 or 5 NFC championships this decade. And you're not seeing him getting the credit he deserves. Obviously, the older quarterbacks get, the older players get, the less respect and admiration they get from their franchises. But I think at this point he's had enough, and a change of scenery, or they better up that extension and show him the respect that way.
Sherm, if you're him, what are you doing? Are you staying in Green Bay? Would you sit out? Where would you want to play? How would you handle it?
I think it's tough now, because the draft has passed, and an opportunity to go to a contender, to a San Francisco or a situation where it could be really good and really cool. I think Washington will be a really cool opportunity. They have a D-line and a defense in place and some playmakers on the outside that he could do something with. But I think the opportunity to do that is kind of past. I hear people talking about Denver, but that's a really tough division to go into. Obviously, he worked for the Packers. I'm not sure they have the capital to get it done, but I just don't see a situation where he could go and be in a better situation at this point after the draft, post-draft, than he could in Green Bay. And that's the unfortunate part. So, I mean, I don't see him sitting out because, shoot, he's coming off an MVP season. I've never heard of anybody sitting out after an MVP season. But I think he definitely is going to ruffle some feathers. Maybe he shows up to camp late. Maybe he acts like he's going to miss a game. I don't know. But I think he's definitely not done with showing how disgruntled he is.
I mean, you can't win a Super Bowl with a quarterback who don't want to be there. Green Bay's got to know they got to trade him. I mean, I want to ask you about Nahshon Wright, the cornerback that Cowboys took, and you responded to him with a meme because he said he sees himself as a more, what was it? Right here.
More
a more agile
yeah.
and athletic Richard Sherman. What do you think about that?
I just got a good laugh out of it, man. It was just funny. I mean, every year you see something or you hear something or the NFL does the 40-yard dash and they do the ghosts, of the kids running way faster than you, and then they do the ghost of me behind them. So it's just another thing to laugh at. The kid actually reached out and we had a nice message exchanged, a lot of respect mutually. If he ever needs anything from me, I'm happy to help him. Obviously I know the scheme he's going into and I know it really well, but it's just one of those things where you just, kids being kids, I guess. But I got a good laugh out of it. That's been the rhetoric my whole career. Everybody's more
without
athletic,
the agility
faster.
or athleticism, Richard Sherman, you must have a lot of wisdom to impart because you're getting it done somehow.
Got that Super Bowl
Right. I'm finding a way. I'm sabotaging them somewhere. I'm tying their cleats together or something. I'm getting it done.
The meme was good. It was fun. All right, give me this new venture because I don't know much about the gaming world. So talk to me.
Hey, Molly, you might need to get in it. You might need to figure it out because gaming world is changing. Just like cryptocurrency, there's so many things, electric vehicles, there's so many things that are forward thinking and moving forward. And this enthusiast is at the forefront of gaming, and they have the platform with 300 million users a month checking in on this platform in an industry that is supposed to go past 300 billion by the end of next year. It's nobody thought video games would ever be this big.
You know why I love our next guest, not just because he's a beast on the field, but he's authentic and he will tell folks how he feels. Richard Sherman,
Smart
one of
guy
the
too,
greatest.
Stanford.
Yeah, obviously that too. Joining us on behalf of Enthusiast Gaming. We will get into that in just a bit. Richard, thank you so much for being with us. We've been looking forward to this chat all show.
I appreciate you having me, man. I'm looking forward to it too. It's been a while.
Yes, Richard, we know normally you're the shy retiring type, but this time don't hold back with your opinions. Even if it might be controversial, I think it's okay.
Right. Usually I'm reserved, you know what I mean? I don't want to stir the pot or ruffle
Perfect
feathers.
show for you is right here. All right, let's start with you. So I've heard you've had conversations with Pete Carroll. You are a free agent. Correct me if I'm wrong. What do you think about a return to Seattle like the good old days, Legion of Boom style?
Well, it would be a little different than the good old days. You know, there's two people that aren't here from the Legion of Boom, but you know, it's always in the cards. I spend my entire offseason in Seattle. That's where I live. That's where my family is. So it's never out of the cards. You know, obviously, Pete and I have had conversations throughout the offseason. It just everything needs to shake out right. They're still figuring things out. I'm still figuring things out, but it's definitely not out of the cards. You know, it's no bad blood there between them and I. And it's a cool opportunity.
Richard, I imagine at this point in your career, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking to join a team that is on the precipice, you might feel, of winning a Super Bowl, at least competing for one, in a market you might want to live. And a lot of people are thinking about the New Orleans Saints for you. How would you see yourself fitting in on that defense and in that town?
Well, obviously, Chris Richard being there makes a huge difference for me. But they just drafted a corner in the third round, Paulson, Adebo, and you know, they've had a great secondary for a while. You know, I don't think they get enough credit. Their defensive line with Cam Hayward, Cam Jordan. Don't get mad at me, Cam. But they've been a fantastic defense for a long time. So I think it'd be a hand in glove fit. They run a great scheme. They're in a really tough competitive division. I mean, almost all the divisions in the NFC are pretty competitive these days. But I think it'd be a fit. I just don't think they have the need that people think they do.
Outside of Seattle and New Orleans, any other squads you have your eye on where you'd like to play?
There's always a chance it could end up working out back in the Bay, and I head back that way. You know, that's another place I'm really comfortable going. Obviously, know the staff, know the team well. Just spend time there and would be ecstatic, you know, if something happened there. But, you know, they have a situation, but it's one of those things that will happen probably late or during the season, if it happens at all.
Richard, how do you see whether or not you go back to the Bay, you've just been there, how do you see the situation with Trey Lance and Jimmy G playing out in San Francisco?
I see it playing out exactly like Kyle said it would. I see Jimmy G being a starter. He has a fantastic grasp of the offense. He knows the team. He has respect of his men, and he's already led them to a Super Bowl. I see Trey learning behind him. And if something crazy happens, you know, and Jimmy gets banged up or something like that, I think they'd be really comfortable putting Trey in there and letting him, you know, learn the offense and letting him get his reps.